Hello everyone, this is Nikki Becquerel D'Angelo here for another Star Citizen AA ship review. And today I'm going to give you two of them from Aegis Dynamics. I actually have 3 Aegis Dynamics in my hangar right now. And no, I didn't go and spend more money. I melted my 325A. I was disappointed with it, though I know they fixed it after playing it real quickly in the Arena Commander module. But I wanted to get the Redeemer because I had an opportunity to get LTI on it, and there was no LTI on my 325A. The other ship I melted was the Cutlass Blue. As much as I wanted to fall in love with it, I'm still in love with my Freelancer MIS, and the Cutlass Blue, although a beautiful ship, and you know, it was LTI and it's a limited edition, it's just not my cup of tea. But I kept the Cutlass Red because that's going to be more my play style, going out and helping to save those that are in my organization, the enablers. And remember, I just don't want to talk about my org here, I want to talk about yours too. So I woke up at 6 a.m. after a long night celebrating for my roommates becoming a U.S. citizen. And I watched the broken bits and pieces of the live stream and then picked up again after I woke up with all the information they've posted. And I can say I'm fairly impressed. I think this is going to be amazing. It's more Rainbow Six like the FPS shooter, where you have consequences. You engage in combat, you will die, you will get maimed, you will need to go and get surgery or some kind of stuff to get put back together again. But there are some questions that I am currently still have, and I'm going to try to get with some of the people at CIG next week to see how it happens. If you fire a gun in space or in 0G, doesn't it throw you back? And I think that's what I saw going on there, but it's still pretty early and I have to watch it through again. So the 2 ships that went on sale today and the one yesterday. Yesterday was a Herald, and I think I'm going to wind up buying it by the end of the 10-day period they have it for sale. And the other 2 were the Gladius, which I've already purchased in the past, and the Redeemer, which is right in front of us. I've done a mini review of this ship before when it first came out of the Next Generation Starship contest, where the 4 Horsemen were the winners. There were some other wonderful designs that I hope we still see one day, but this particular one is the one that was voted in. Even with all the controversy, it still seems that there were more than enough votes to get this one into our hangar. Now this one is beautiful. Well, not really. This one's the ugly duckling of them all. I was kind of falling for the Shimapan and the who were they? The 3 Dingo ships. But you know, this is the one that we got. I really wasn't too impressed with this nutcracker way of putting things together. Well, not putting things together, of the engines working. So let's give a breakdown of the ship. We've done this before, and now we have some real specs, okay? And yes, you guys could go out there and read it, but I'm going to read it nonetheless. We've got a 37.5 meters in length. That makes it right in the ballpark of the Freelancer, right? Freelancer's probably a little bit bigger. It's got 19.5 meters in beam, 11 meters in height, and it weighs in at 42,000 kilograms. So, well, 42,000 kilograms is 42,000 metric tons, right? That's a heavy ship. But it's got only 32 standard cargo units, because this is not a cargo carrying unit. It's a troop transport. Specifically, it's more like a Black Hawk helicopter carrying 6 troops into battle. I think they should have made it 8 or 10. 8 would have been like 2 squads, right? 2 squads of 4, that would have been good. 6 is kind of an odd number for the military. So what we're going to look at after that is that it's got a size 6 power plant, and it is needed because there's a whole bunch of stuff on here that needs to be powered. More specifically, there's a lot of defensive equipment that needs to be powered. And the first one of those is, of course, going to be the engine. Why do I include that in the defensive part of it? Because the maneuverability of this craft is one of its biggest defensive components. That scissor-like, nutcracker-like engine gives it a very unique maneuverability. It's very, very maneuverable. And also, we're getting 12 TR2 Aegis Dynamics Winnowing D2 maneuvering thrusters. This is going to be a highly maneuverable, fat, and heavy ship. Now, the other piece of it I said that was going to need that wonderful power plant is the shield. This is getting a size 6 shield, which I think currently in the hangar, the only other ship that has that is something like the Phoenix, the Constellation Phoenix. The shield name is not out yet. It's coming soon. And this could hold a wide variety of missiles, up to 10 of them. And those missiles could pretty much be anything from dumbfire to fire and forget, image seeking, radar seeking, infrared seeking. So quite a big, quite a number of different weapons. And of course, then we have the 3 cannons on it. Well, actually more than 3. There's 2, 4, 6, right? So you've got 2 Bulldog repeaters on the top, 2 Bulldog repeaters on the bottom. Sorry, they're Badgers. 2 Badgers on top, 2 Badgers on the bottom. So they're the Klaus and Warner CF-117s. These are the higher rate of fire and more damaging ones that come with, well, over there, the Hornets turret and the 2 in the front. Now, this over here says they're supposed to be broadswords on this Class 4 non-man turret, but they look more like neutron cannons for now. I'm sure that's because things are changing little by little. Oh, the ship has a very unique look. I didn't fall for the outside of the ship. I fell for the inside of the ship. Still got a nice look to it. Kind of sweet, right? Futuristic. The scissor-like structure of the engines is what gets me. They talked about it, though, how it's able to go. Now, I wonder, right, are these things right here, like, is that an exhaust right there, or is the exhaust in the middle? That's the piece I'm wondering about. I think this would be the exhaust, right? So these are 2 TR5 primary thrusters, and these are the vector lock nozzles. I think that's how you call it. It is a pretty ship. Pretty in that it's highly detailed, and I can't believe this was done by backers, though CIG did take it internally and complete it for physics and damage modeling and stuff. But this is a backer-created ship. Kind of gorgeous. And it actually does fit right in line with the other Aegis Dynamics ships. Now this I found a little bit unsettling. I wish it didn't fall down on top of me like that. So here we are on the interior. We've got 3, which I said they should have gone to 4 and had 2 squads in here. But they have 3 jump seats on either side. I'm standing on top of a docking collar, which would be like the one on the Cutlass Black, which is moving. And then you have lockers for all their weapons over here. You have 1 for each individual. They're all numbered the same, which is kind of weird. AD meaning Aegis Dynamics, I'm sure. And then on this side, typical broken mesh. You can see it right here. Backwards on the right, forwards on the left. There's a door over here. This door leads to the bottom turret. You pretty much get into the seat, which isn't moving at this point, and it will slide you up into the turret in front. This stairwell brings you up to another door, which leads directly to some systems panels and engine panels. Again, there's our Redeemer that we've been seeing all over the place on different displays. And a couple of system displays here. Getting into the ship. Okay, so now we're getting into the cockpit of the ship. It's got some nice visibility here. A little bit of stuff in the middle, but this is not a fighter, although it will be highly maneuverable. This will be taking on things more or less, well, I guess like that one over there, off in the distance, the Freelancer MIS. Definitely one of my favorite ships in the game so far. And there's a Gladius, a new favorite fighter of mine. Oh god, that thing is gorgeous, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Lots of panels here. Animations aren't set for moving the different joysticks around yet, and throttles. But let's go into third person mode and look at something that I've seen in the ship. We've got an upper turret. We've got the missiles coming from somewhere. I don't know where the missile bays are. They're probably enclosed and open up. I'll have to look at a cutaway of it. Gorgeous front of the ship. I think this is badass. Look at all the weapons coming at you. 6 weapons firing on a position. So my issue with this is they have to debark out the back of the ship, and there is absolutely no covering fire coming from the back of the ship. There should have been a turret back here that is automated and powered by one of the people inside that they can see, giving covering fire for people exiting and entering the back of the ship. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go through the ship. It's a pretty ship, okay? Pretty in the way that an ugly duckling is. Let's get out of here. Let's go into some other parts of the ship. There's another door over here. Let's close this door. Alright, so you have different compartments. That way you can vent the vent the lower compartments so they can possibly go and do 0G in space fighting. So here we are in another compartment that can be sectioned off from the rest, and these could be people in here that are sleeping. There's 5 crew, there's 3 beds, which means there's probably hot bunking going on. The ship has 5 crew and 6 Marines. The Marines, they have no beds, so they're probably just, coming like a drop ship, okay? But I guess the 3 beds are for hot bunking, or maybe that's 2 beds. There's 2 beds. Not sure what this is here. Another station. Nice little galley. I wonder what would happen if they were cooking soup and they went into 0G. You'd have boiling hot liquid floating around the compartment. That's pretty cool. So, nice little table. 2 seats on it, enough to seat 4 people. 2, 3, 4. So 1 crewman is probably always on watch. I would expect this to be a bathroom or a shower. Shower. Yeah, shower. Nice. And not as cramped as a shower on another ship that will remain nameless. Pretty cool. So that means this one's the bathroom. Yep. Looks like it looks kind of like a stall on a airliner. Yep, you could sit down. Guess you want to turn around and close the door, otherwise you're talking to people over there. Yeah, bathrooms, big deal. I think it's pretty cool that they include them, but it's not really a needed asset, but good to have it in there. Oh, this would be the other turret, not working yet. I would expect the chair to come down and come forward, you to mount the chair and get pushed back up into the turret. So, pretty ship, really highly detailed. I don't like the coloration. It's a little flat and the detail levels are a little bit lost on me with that, but all in all, very happy with the ship. Maybe that's the turret. I don't know what that is. Maybe that's another docking hatch? Let's go back up and see if we can figure out what that is over there. So we're going to get back in the seat, go to our external view, and try to see what we were seeing there. Yeah, that looks like the turret. I'm confused. I'm just a tad bit confused. This doesn't seem to have an exterior. What happens if I go... Yeah, I can't get up. I can't move it out enough to see what that is. Yeah, confusing. I would think that this was the turret and that one up there. Can we go in here? We can't go in here. I wonder what this area is. Well, one way or another, there's either a turret up here, or this is a turret. I'm not entirely sure what this area is. So let's go back downstairs. Let's go back around the back of the ship. And what I'm talking about is a minigun somewhere in this area from here to here that would deploy when the back hatch opened and possibly somebody can use from one of the other stations, like maybe there'll be somebody over here that could manipulate that weapon, or somebody over here, not here, but one of these two stations that could manipulate that weapon, or even here, or maybe have it automated and auto lock on to any targets. That way you have cover when you're rushing out of here and trying to find cover around you. All in all, I think this is a good ship. At $250 for the ship and $265 for the package, it competes with the Constellation line in price. Is it worth the money? Well, so far it's the only drop ship we have, and the only one that's going to carry, specifically made for carrying and deploying a ground force, whether they be Marines, pirates, or, you know, just a organization's crew trying to take back a ship that was taken from them. It's a nice ship. Like I said, I had other visual favorites on the exterior, but the interior of this one was further along than all the others, which is why I think they won. It does fall very, very, very nicely right into the Aegis Dynamics line of ships. Now, there is the Avenger, and here is the Gladius. So let me bring up my Gladius information, and let's start talking about this sweet bird that I have suddenly fallen in love with. And I will tell you this, before this, my favorite fighter, well, there's no doubt that that's the most capable fighter I own, and it will always be. The Super Hornet will always be my go-to ship for different things, but I also have a love for different types of ships. This is the F-16 of the universe, where that is the F-15 of the universe, and the new F-8, which is replacing this ship, which makes absolutely no sense, is going to be the new F-22. Why do I say it makes no sense? Because every single Air Force has the need for a low-cost, light fighter that's able to dogfight and deliver weapons on target, whether, you know, being able to deliver iron bombs. The F-16 is the most successful aircraft ever in the history of the world. Now, that is an opinionated, very opinionated comment made by me. It's probably the most combat-proven jet in the world, besides something like the MiG-21 and a couple of other Russian exported fighters, but it's definitely one of the most successful, being able to, you know, handle multiple roles, from interception to battlefield air superiority to close air support and interdiction strike. The F-16 has been able to do it all. It's been around since the late 70s too, so it's been doing it for quite a long time. Now the F-16 is being replaced by the F-35, which in its own right is coming out with some bugs and a lot of different people saying bad things about it. But nonetheless, it's definitely cheaper than an F-22 and probably not as maneuverable as an F-22, but more able to handle things from smaller bases, forward bases, small ships, so something that would be able to work in today's world. This ship over here is more like the planes that were made in the late 70s and through the late 80s, like the F-16, the Rafale, which I think came out in the 90s, the Eurofighter, which had its roots way back when and is now out. It's not that stealthy, beautiful, sleek lines. It's kind of a butch, really, I can kick your butt look. Look at the front of this ship, just gorgeous. It looks more like an F-23 to me, which was the loser in the competition for the next air superiority fighter that the U.S. had back in the 90s before the F-22s were purchased. Let's talk about the ship a little bit. It's 20 meters long, so falls in line with the F-16 being almost 60 feet. I think the F-16 is 48. Beam 16, height 5, and 16,000 metric tons, or 16 metric tons, 16,000 kilograms. It has absolutely no cargo space. I'm sure there's space on there for personal items, like all aircraft seem to have. One person crew. Power plant is a size 2 max, but it comes with a size 1, the Aegis Dynamics K5B Starwalk. It's got two main thrusters, which are venerable and often talked about. The Hammer Propulsion HE5.2s. There's the bluish light like the Avenger has. So you have HE5.2s over there. It's got 8 TR1 thrusters, the maneuvering thrusters, and I think that without the vectored engines, it's probably not going to be as maneuverable as I originally thought. But those are pretty big thrusters to be TR1s. I'm trying to figure out what size means on these things. So the Ascension shield is a size 1. Ascension Astro Solo Shield, size 1, but you could take up to a size 3. Now the problem here is the power plant, which is delivered with a size 1, is able to handle the weapons that are on it and the systems that are on it. So weapons-wise, we have 2 Bulldog repeaters under the wings, and we have this really cool cannon, this Gatling gun, the Galenson Tactical Systems Scorpion GT215, and that's an S1, a size 1 cannon. I was under the impression that that's a size 1 and that this is a size 5? I don't know. This was supposed to be some big-ass cannon in the front of the Avenger, but it looks like this one. And I'm going to really quickly do something that I don't normally do and look up online as we're speaking so I can actually get this right the first time instead of having to keep going through these things over and over again. So while I'm doing that, let's look at some of the missiles. This fires a wide variety of dumbfire missiles, but when I say that, that's a seeker head. Now, when I used to work on the F-16Ns, F-18s, F-14s, and A-6s, anything with a head like that had some kind of seeker, whether it be infrared or TV. Radar-guided ones look more like that, and so did dumbfire ones. But that looks like a image-seeking missile. And this looks like a graphical glitch. It looks like a missile built right into the wing root. Not sure if it is a missile or what. It looks like one. Actually, it looks more like a anti-runway munition, a Durandal, but not sure. So I brought up the ship specs, and I'm going to go into the Avenger, and yes, this can change very quickly because they just announced there are going to be 3 versions of the Avenger, and we're not getting the trainer like they had originally said, so who knows where they're going to go with this. But I want to know hard points, and I want to go to that nose cannon. It's a size 2. Oh, distortion cannons. Oh, the class 2 turret under the nose on the Avenger is a size 3. So this is a size 1. And this is a size 3? I don't know. Does that look like there's a difference between those 2 guns? The one on the Avenger is supposed to be the S5. Well, it says 1 S5, and it says Tiger Shark T21 3, which would mean it's a size 3. I don't know. The ship specs are kind of more or less, they're very, very confusing at this point. So the one thing about the Avenger that gets me is I don't know what this piece over here is for. Is it part of the cooling system? What is it? Is it part of the ECM system? Is it a fuel pod? Because when you come back here, it says fuel access. Pretty cool. All right, now I'm going to point out one aerodynamic mistake on this aircraft because it has to fly in regular atmospheric flight also. Something this big and this fast is not going to be able to maneuver very well with the type of tailplanes they put on here. Let's go in the ship and I'll give you a little bit more information on what I'm talking about. Now, first off, we're going to go in the ship. We're going to hit that F key, open up our wonderful ladder system, and go up. And let's take a look around the cockpit before we do any of that other looking around. Oh, that's pretty cool. I'm liking that. Look at the distortion, just like you have in the F-16, right where the canopy meets. They're going to have to remove some of that because it's going to be difficult for you to see through your HUD when that happens. I like that they let the zoom feature work in here. Animations for the throttle and stick aren't working. Looks like a very basic cockpit design. I don't know where that radar will be. Maybe it will be a holograph right on top of the console right there in the center. It's got beautiful view like the other Aegis Dynamics ships tend to have. And what I love is this detail in the canopy. Now, for those of you that don't know what this is, if you've ever watched the movie Top Gun and see when Goose gets ejected up into the canopy, well, these are in there, so what happened to Goose doesn't happen. This is an explosive ribbon that's going to blow away that piece of the canopy, so when the ejection seat goes out, you fly right through that area, and it's already gone, so you're not going to die like Goose did. The pattern should have been wider over the seat. I'm not sure if it matches up. We'll check as I look the exterior view, but that's an awesome inclusion in this ship. The detail is wonderful. And if we can see where the pattern is, it's thinnest right over him and fattest. Yep, they did it right. They got it right. That is amazing. Awesome. Awesome job. Beautiful ship. Great design. The guys over at Foundry 42 really know how to build a ship. And this one was built in record time. I love the detail on it. It looks like a military ship. So let's now talk aerodynamics. So in aerodynamics, there's something called compressibility. There's a loss of control as you start going fast, like the speed of sound. And you need really, really, really big control surfaces to be able to control your aircraft. Back in the end of World War II, they started experiencing this as they started going faster and faster. And the F-86, our first real fast high-speed subsonic aircraft, the F-86, was the first one to incorporate a full flying tail. What that meant is, you see this elevator right over here, how it has a cutout for a traditional elevator from a 1940s to 1950s style piston engine aircraft, or a GA aircraft today? That tiny little piece that moves would not be enough to overcome the force that was going on the rest of the tail surface. So on the jets today, the whole elevator is able to move instead of just the piece like that. The only time you see a piece like that on the elevator is for trim. These are not rotating anywhere because there's no space for them to do it here. In order for this to be aerodynamically sound, they'd have to extend the fuselage just a little bit, and they'd have to have that pushed back so it would be able to have a pivot point that could move it. Now, although this aircraft is beautiful, I don't mean to pick apart the realistic parts of it, but if they're going to claim that they're going to be as realistic as possible, things like compressibility and the ability to be able to maneuver an aircraft, a spacecraft in atmospheric flight, which this is supposed to have done, should be considered in the design. Still, let's drop that. I'm not trying to prove a point here. This is still a beautiful ship, and even with that one issue, I think that this is just gorgeous. Something to make note about the elevators and rudders on the aircraft today, along with all fly-by-wire system aircraft like the F-18, the F-22, the F-35, and the newest F-16s, all of these tailplane surfaces move to create yaw, roll, and pitch to help the very small ailerons on the wingtips. There's even more control surfaces on the wings that help that also. And the wings could actually bow and they could actually bulge at different places on some aircraft. I'm not sure if that's something that's still incorporated, but that was a possibility. So although I love this aircraft and I've pointed out a couple of aerodynamic deficiencies in it, I think it's gorgeous and I think it's worth the money. This is definitely one of those ships I was looking for to have fun in, and I can't wait to see how it performs in a couple of weeks to a couple of months inside of Arena Commander. And I'm happy they only have one version of this because it's a multi-role aircraft, multi-role spacecraft. It can carry a wide variety of munitions, and A wide variety of munitions will be available for this in-game. You can mix and match to your heart's delight. And I think this one run here of 3 aircraft, my Hornet, my Gladius, and my Avenger, are going to be my favorite aircraft to use in dogfighting. I just see that happening because of the love I have for them. It doesn't diminish any love I have for the other ships in my hangar. It just makes so much sense. On the other end, by the way, I have my 3 racers, the M50, the 350R, and of course the Mustang that one of my organization mates gave me. Well, that was very nice of him. It's the Mustang from, we're getting that bad error that we normally get. So now that we're getting the error and the loading message, which has been happening quite often lately, I will bid you all adieu. Remember, I have a couple of contests going on. We closed out the Freelancer MIS contest. I still have not picked what I'm going to be giving away. I'm either going to be doing it myself, or we might be sponsored once again from CIG. Either way, I'll come up with a good package to give away for the drive to 2K. Go back to episode 51 of Star Citizen AA, watch it, and read the comments in the video description, and you'll see how to enter that contest. Just to clear one thing up, you'll only get 2 extra entries in the contest over the course of the whole contest if you submit a Confession of a Star Citizen Addict to the Confession of a Star Citizen Addict thread over in the Star Citizen AA forums at starcitizenaa.com. The second contest is for my patrons from patreon.com. If you go to patreon.com/Batgirl, you'll see what that is. It's a way to support the show, help finance all of the wonderful giveaways I do, and help the show get better. I don't ask for much, $1 a month. And if you want to do $1 a month, just put 25 cents in the donation field. That's all I got for you guys. Thank you very much for bearing with me and suffering through this painful error at the very end. I will talk to you all soon. Well, I guess I should say it in this way. You all be safe out there, and I'll talk to you soon.